week, as you all know, is Parshat Vayikra. Now, we spoke about Parshat Vayikra already on Tuesday. We spoke in length in regard to why it says Adam. When it comes to bringing the Korban, it says the word Adam, which means man. And yet when it comes to the person sinning, it says Nefesh, which means the soul. And the question was, what was the difference? And we explained then, according to we explained what exactly the difference was between Adam and Nefesh, between a man and the soul. We explained it last time. But now we're going to come with another interpretation in the understanding of what it means. The Marabi Zechatadivi Kadosh V'Lacha, he wanted to say as follows. Whenever the Torah says Adam, when it says regarding to bringing the Korban, the first sacrifice, the Olah, it says the word Adam for a reason. This reason is because it's hearkening back, it's going back to Adam harishon, the first man. Now the first man, when he brought his Korban, the first Korban Olah ever to be brought, what kind of animal is that? That animal, that first Korban, was a Korban Olah, fully to God, was made from the only animal, the only cow, the only bull ever to be born horns first. Because a regular cow is born feet first. Yet the cow, the first bull that was ever in creation, God created everything fully whole, and it came up from the ground, horns first. So the first cow that he ever bought, as an Olah, was brought by Adam harishon, was horns first. And it was the only cow ever that was for sure not stolen. How do we know this? Because the entire world was created for one reason. The entire world was created for man. And where's the proof that the entire world is created for man? So we brought down once the proof that the world is created for man was because there's so many things in this world. There are a lot of things in this world that you wouldn't have if not for man. You wouldn't have all the diamonds, all the gems, all the minerals, all the oils, all these things that are deep within the earth. These things man would not have, if the world would not have, if not for man bringing them out. This is the clear proof that the entire world is created for man, and everything in this world is created for man's usage. Now, when God created this world, and he created the first man, he gave the first man one commandment. He says, please do not destroy my world. What does that mean, please do not destroy my world? That doesn't mean global warming. It doesn't mean carbon emissions. It doesn't mean eating cows. Nothing to do with any of that. It means following God's mitzvot, God's commandments. You see, even a Jew and a non-Jew, this thing of not destroying God's world is both for Jew and non-Jew. Non-Jews have 7 laws to the children of Noach. They're called the Sheva Mitzvot B'nei Noach, the 7 Noahic laws. And every single one of the non-Jews have to keep these. And if they don't, there's a Midrash that asks the question. The Midrash, it's a pirush on the Midrash actually, it asks, how come there are nations of this world that are not following God's laws, and yet they're still in existence? God does not destroy them. They don't follow the Sheva Mitzvot B'nei Noach, and yet God goes ahead and doesn't destroy them. Why not? And the answer that's brought down in that Midrash is because at least on the laws of that country, they hold that these things are wrong. On the laws of that country, there are laws of marriage, there are laws of laws, there are laws of stealing. All these laws are in the laws of the country, as long as it's on the books. Even if they don't fully keep them, God goes ahead and he has mercy on them and he does not destroy them. So what destroys the world and does not destroy the world is keeping God's laws. It's following God's commandments. But now that is in regard to a nation being destroyed or not destroyed. But what about in regard to the existence of the world? Hashem went ahead after the Mabul. He said he's never going to destroy the world. Ever again. And the question is, what is going to keep the world going then? If let's see all the Jews go ahead and they start doing all the sins, all those sins that are being done that were done to cause the Mabul, God is not going to bring another Mabul. Why not? What is it that's going to keep the world going and there should not be a Mabul? Answers the It's brought down the Tzvarim. The Gemara brings down Shlosha Dvarim Ha'olam Omed. The world exists on three pillars: Torah, Avodah, Gemilut Chasadim. These are the three pillars that the world existence stands on. Now, Avodah, we have in this week's Parsha, all the Korbanot, that we can no longer actually bring. We could go ahead and we could pray, Tfilah, sometimes, Makom Korban. Sometimes prayer could take the place of bringing a sacrifice. But we really don't have Avodah in its full extreme. But what is the greatest of the three pillars? Which one is the greatest one? So you might think the greatest one is Avodah, because we see that the Kohen Gadol, the greatest day of the year, Yom Kippur, the Kohen Gadol goes into the Kodesh HaKadeshim. He does all these amazing things. And you think that's the greatest thing? Answer the Gemara, no. The Mashal explains in the Gemara over there. David HaMelech, King David, asked God, when am I going to die? And Hashem answered back to him, you're going to die on the Shabbat. He didn't want to tell him exactly when, but he said the day you die is going to be Shabbat. David said, please, I don't want to die on Shabbat. Let me die a day later. God answered back, no. That's Shlomo HaMelech's kingship is supposed to be then. I can't let you take a day from him. So David said, okay, let me die a day earlier. Again, God said, no. I'd rather your one day of learning Torah, your one day of learning God's holy book, than all the 1,000 korbanot, the 1,000 animals that Shlomo HaMelech is going to bring on the day he dedicates the Beit HaMikdash, the day he dedicates the temple. I'd rather your little Torah from one day, greater than 1,000 korbanot. Says the Mashal, what does that mean? Which is the greatest pillar that keeps the world going? The biggest pillar, the strongest pillar that keeps the world going? The pillar of Torah. The pillar of Limud Torah, learning God's Torah, that is what keeps the world going. And that, even though everything's closed right now, right? All the Beit HaKnesiyot are closed. All the yeshivot are closed. At least the majority of the Beit HaKnesiyot are closed. In the entire world. And a lot of the yeshivot are closed. And tefillah we can't do fully properly. We don't have a minyan. And the third one, Gemilat Chesed, we could try to do. We could do. But it's also reliant on other people. The one pillar that is not reliant on anybody else, it's only reliant on you, is the pillar of Torah. That's the only thing that's reliant on you. You don't have to come on to anybody else for it. There's a story of Yaakov Linsky that Tzal brings down on this week's parasha. He brings down an amazing story. There was a Rebbe, a Hasidic Rebbe, the Rebbe of Tarchikov, something like that. Tarchikov, something like that. I don't remember the exact full name. And this Rebbe went ahead and he made a big tish. He made a big, they have by the tish, all the Hasidim come, and they made a massive tish on a Friday night. And a non-religious Jew came in, and that area did not have Eruv. It didn't have the strings making that you could carry outside. And the guy came in carrying a whole bunch of things. And he saw that all these Jews were going in. And he was wondering where all these religious Jews going. Prayer already ended a while ago. And he goes ahead. And he shows up. And he comes in. He follows all the rest of them. He comes in. He joins in. He's sitting there with everybody else. And the Rebbe comes out. And the Rebbe starts making Kiddush. And when the Rebbe starts making Kiddush, he's sitting there with his head, his brows are furrowed. He's saying Kiddush with all the kavanot, all the thought processes that goes through in the making of Kiddush. And halfway through Kiddush, he opens his eyes, he looks up, and he notices that there's a guy there standing holding a whole bunch of things that obviously he carried on Shabbat. The Rebbe gets all afraid, and he walks out. Middle of Kiddush. He didn't finish Kiddush. Walks out. The people standing there, the Hasidim didn't know what to do. So usually they sing and they do all the tunes. They couldn't do that this time. They didn't know what to do. And this guy standing there realizes ain't nothing happening, nothing's going on. The Rebbe came out, he went back in, nobody's singing. It's dull, it's boring, and he leaves. The Rebbe comes back out a few minutes later, he sees the guy is gone, and he makes his Kiddush. Everybody's wondering what in the world happened here. Doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. What's going on here? How could it be? What, the guy comes out, he starts making kiddush, he stops, he leaves. Why? The Rebbe goes out and explains, after he washes his hands, he explains as follows. He says, Rabotai, I have a Kabbalah. I have something in acceptance that we have, that anytime you see something, it's a message for you. Anytime you see anything, it's a message for you. He says, we go ahead. He said, I prepare for Shabbat with all my deep thoughts and all my deep intellect. I prepare for so many days. I prepare the entire week for Shabbat. And I came out after such a prayer and with such thought and such deep concentration. And I open up my eyes and I see somebody's not keeping Shabbat. Must be that God means me. Must be God is sending me a lesson that whatever I'm doing isn't correct. And I went into the other room and I started a deep thought and to try to think about what I have to fix. There was a guy sitting there by this tish who was from Lithuanian descent, right? By the Ashkenazim, you have Hasidim and Lithuanians, Mitnagdim, right? They don't exactly see eye to eye and everything. And one of the Lithuanians were by the tish. He was a student in Yeshiva Valazhin. He comes to the Yeshiva and he goes to his Rebbe, the Holy Netziv, Rav Natali Tzvi Yehuda Berlin. He goes to the Holy Netziv, he goes to his Rebbe and he says, Rabbi, I went to this tish from this Chassid, this Rebbe, and I heard an amazing thing. And he shares this thought that when he sees something, it's a lesson for you. The Netziv's completely unfazed. He says, you don't have to come onto the Rebbe for that, he says. It's a Tosefta. Now, Tosefta, the same way you have Mishnayot, you have Braitot. It's the same, from the same era. It's a Tosefta. On this week's Parsha, Parshat Vayikra, it says, V'nefesh, in our Parsha, it says, V'nefesh a soul. Ki techta, when he should sin. V'shama, and you should hear Kol Allah. He hears the call. He hears the voice. He hears the sound. Says the Tosefta, Haroeh esay averot, one who sees people doing averot, nitchayev lerot. It's a purpose for him that he has to see it. And if you see people doing mitzvot, the same thing. Zachal lirot, you had a zechut to see it, you had a merit to see it. Why? Because every single thing you see, God doesn't let you see. There's nothing coincidence. God makes you see things that are a message and a lesson for you. And if so, if you went ahead and you saw something going wrong, it's a message for you. Maybe I'm doing something wrong. And when you see great mitzvot, it's a good message for you as well. Like the Gemara brings down the story. Rava went ahead once, and Ani, a poor man, came to his house, and he wanted Mekayim Achnasat Ochim. He opened the door, he brings the guy in, he sits him down, right? We said there's 3 pillars. Gemilut Chesed is one of the pillars. He brings him in, he sits him down, he says, here, have a seat. What can I give you to eat? And the guy says, I want a fattened chicken. Yeah, Tanigol Mefutam, a nice fatty chicken. Yeah, with Yayan Yashan and old wine. Now, we eat chickens. By us, chickens is the lowest, right? You have the steaks and the lamb and the veal, and you have all these things that's considered chashuv to eat. And chicken by us is the lowest thing to eat. Back in the day, chickens actually were very big to eat. If you eat a chicken, that means you were quite wealthy, because you get eggs from your chickens. And that means you have enough chickens that it's not going to make an issue with your supply of eggs. That means you were wealthy. Chickens was a wealthy. At times it was a wealthy thing. But either way, he wanted a nice fattened chicken, nice fattened goose. And Rabbi got upset at him. He said, what is this? Why are you going ahead? You want a fattened goose? Why? And he answered, he says, what do you mean? God gave you the money for you. God gave you the money to give me. God gave you the money to supply for me the food. God gave it all for me. And at that second, there was a knock on the door of Rava's house. And in walked in a person that Rava had not seen in 13 years. 13 years he didn't see him. And the person came to visit him, and the person brought a bottle of old wine and a fattened chicken. And Rava put it in front of the guy and says, you're right. Here, take, eat. That guy had come to teach Rava a lesson in Emunah, even though Rava didn't need a lesson in Emunah. But he came to tell Rava a lesson in Emunah, belief in bitachon in God. That everything God does is for you, to teach you a lesson. Now, once again, we're going back to what we started off with. We said Adam, a person. And we said when it says Adam is referring to Adam harishon, it's referring to the first man, who when he brought a korban, he was completely not stolen his first korban because the entire world is created for man. There's a story that he brings down. This story happened in the city where Rabbi Salanta was residing. And they had an argument. The people had an argument. Where should the Hazan start the tefillah from? Should the Hazan start from the Berachot, from the beginning of the prayer book? Or should the Hazan start from Baruch She'amar? That was the argument between the Kehillah of what should happen. And it was a big argument. And they came to Rabbi Salanta. They came to Rabbi Israel and they asked him, Rabbi, please tell us, what should we do? Which view is correct? And Rabbi Israel answered, he should start from the middle. It said, Lo'olam yehei adam yarei shemayim, right? It should be a person, said Rabbi Salanta. The first thing a person has to make sure is be a person, be Adam. What does it mean to be an Adam? What does it mean to be a man? So we explained once that what it means to be a man, right? We explained this a while back. We brought down the Pirkei Avot from Rabbeinu Yonah. It says, "Im ein Torah in derech eretz. Im ein derech eretz ein Torah." It goes hand in hand. To be a man, to act like a human being, to act like a man is supposed to act, goes hand in hand with learning Torah. And the same vice versa. You can learn all the Torah you want, but if you don't act like a man, you don't act like a mensch, as we say in Yiddish, if you don't have midot, then you go ahead and you could learn and learn and learn. All the Torah is nothing. It goes hand in hand. That's why those two amudim, give me that chesed and Torah, really go hand in hand. One intertwined within the other. And that's why Reb Dessler, Zecher Tzadik V'Kadosh V'Acha, says that it's brought down when a person goes ahead and brings a korban. Why did he bring a korban? Because he sinned, he did avera. A ruach shtut went into him. A crazy thought went into a person, right? Everybody doesn't want to sin. Why do we sin? The Yetzer Hara went ahead and brought a crazy thing, came into our mind. But that's not the craziness. You know what the craziness is? The craziness is what happens after you sin. If after I sin, I bring the korban and I say, God, forgive me. That's it. It was a craziness. It was a one-time thing. Everything's fine. But if after I bring the korban, or I don't bring the korban at all, I talk myself in that what I'm doing is right, then you, are overcome by the ruach shtut. You're overcome by a crazy thought. And you're trying to talk yourself in that you're right. And then God, as we said to begin with, sends you messages. He lets you see different things, as we brought down from Yaakov Zatzal, from the Netziv and from the Rebbe Mitochikov. Both of them. They say the same thing. That God sends you these things to remind you, maybe I'm doing something that's not right. Maybe it's a shtut. Maybe it's stupid what I'm doing. And maybe I got to change my ways. There's and maybe I have to change my ways. And that's why a person goes ahead and he brings the korbanot. There was a story this past week on Ocean Parkway in Avenue U. I'm sure some of you saw the video. There was a crazy accident. 5-car accident. And they sent around the video afterwards. There was a rabbi that was involved in the accident. Yet nobody was hurt in this accident. Nobody. And one of the rabbis, Rabbi Masselton, Shalita. And he said, you know why he wasn't hurt? He said, the reason why I wasn't hurt was tzedakah tatili mavet. I was going around, he was bringing checks and getting checks to help people out for Pesach. He went ahead, he had distributed over $100,000. And that he said that's what saved him. But then once he was making this video to tell this to his people, he ended off with something. And he ended off that we see that throughout our lives, we never had time for anything. The rabbi says we're making a shiur, we're doing this, we're doing that. Nobody had time for anything. Now all of a sudden we realize how much time we really do have to learn Torah. How many times you could do all different Zoom shiurim. People are watching shiurim now and from all different formats. Every single day of the week there are shiurim from all different Bate Knesiyot, and everybody's watching all these different shiurim. And they're massive successes. He says, you see, you do have time to learn Torah. And he says, maybe that's what God is showing, with this whole thing that everything is shut down. He's showing us that we really do have time for things. My father, Avi Mori Shalita, runs a program. He runs a night program called Lav, Limud Hasmada Be'erif. Now this program, I can't keep track, even though I'm part of it, I can't keep track of already how many rabbis and students there are. There are at least 40 rabbis and over 160 students. And it meets every single night. Kids come once every other day. Each rabbi has 2 kids. It's an amazing program. They learn with students from 5th grade all the way up through high school. Now, when everything's shutting down, it had to shut down also. It was done in person. Everybody would sit down and learn together in one bet midrash. But everything's shut down. They can't do it anymore in person. But that didn't mean it ended. It didn't mean it stopped. Like a lot of yeshivot, it went ahead and it transferred to being done over the telephone. Every single night, the Rebbe goes ahead and he still calls the students that he deals with. Every single night. One of the students texted my father, Shalita, he texted him the following text. He says, you don't understand. Now that you have this rabbi learning with my son over the phone in my house, I feel the Kedusha in my home. I feel the Kedusha permeating and going through my house. That's what he texted my father. And this is Emet. This is something that all of us right now are doing. We find, the Levavat brings down, that if we go through all the mitzvot in the Torah, a lot of them are not based around the Bet Knesset. A lot of them are not based around the Bet Midrash. Even though the focal point of Jewish life is around the Bet Knesset. 3 times a day we go pray, all that, yes. But if you go through the actual mitzvot that we need to keep, a majority of them are not based in the Bet Knesset. A majority of them are based in the home. Why? Because the main area in Judaism is the home. The ikar, the main point of Judaism is the house. Yes, a person has to go to Bet Knesset. Yes, a person has to pray with a minyan. Yes, a person has to pray 3 times a day with a minyan. Yes, a person has to do all the mitzvot that pertain to going to Bet Knesset. But if you look at the majority of the mitzvot, a majority of them have nothing to do with the Bet Knesset. A majority of the mitzvot are home-based. And it comes to show us, which is what we are doing right now, that the main area you have to make sure that you have Kedusha in is not just the Bet Knesset, not just the Bet Midrash that I go to the Bet Knesset and I serve God there, and that's enough. I don't have to serve God any more than that. That's enough for everything. That's it. I serve God, I prayed, I'm done, I come home, I pop open a beer, and I can do whatever I want. No. The main area of Kedusha has to be your home. The Bet Knesset is just is the cherry on top. The Bet Knesset is that added beauty to Yahadut. It's that added, it makes me feel I belong, and it gives me that extra rechargation of Kedusha. But the main area where Kedusha has to be, the main area where we have to have the Yahadut is in the home. And that's why we find, by Pesach night, where did all the Jews gather? All the Jews didn't come to Moshe Rabbeinu's house. No. All the Jews didn't gather in the Beit Knesset together. No. Each family sat together around the Pesach, the Seder table. Every single family by themselves. And they weren't allowed to leave the house that night. They all stayed together. When Paro said, get out of my country, he said, tomorrow. Right now we're dealing with the family. Because the main area of spirituality of Yahadut, the main thing that keeps Judaism together is the home. There were times, we mentioned that to such a scale, that all the shuls, all the Bate Knesiyot throughout the world are basically shut down. That's something unheard of. But there were times in different areas, on the different empires, especially in Northern Africa, and in sometimes under the Mamelukes and others, when sometimes the Bate Knesiyot had to be closed. But Yahadut still existed. Yahadut, Judaism still existed its day from where? From the home. That's why it says, right, there's a special thing, Nashim Tzidkaniyot. B'zchut Nashim Tzidkaniyot. Why is Judaism so much about Nashim Tzidkaniyot? Because who deals in the home with the kids more, the husband or the wife? The husband sitting and working all day. The wife is at home most of the time. So who's making sure that the kids stay in the way of Torah usually? It's the wife that usually does it. So that's why there's so much Nashim Tzidkaniyot, Nashim Dikeyot Abayit. We had this gula, that gula, this happened, that happened. All because of Nashim. Why? Because they go ahead and they make sure that the Kedusha stays in the home. And that's how we mentioned once that regarding the table, right? We mentioned that the table, right? Now that we don't have korbanot, we brought down that the table in the home is the mizbeach. And all the food they eat on there could be the korban. But we mentioned once, we find that there's by a Shabbat meal, what are you supposed to start off with? We have Zemirot. We have songs. Why do we have so many songs to the Shabbat table? We don't have songs to the weekday table. For Shabbat table also we have a book full of songs. And we say Torah by the Shabbat table. Why don't we say Torah by the weekday table? Which, by the way, you're supposed to anyway. It's brought down, Shnayim Shiyoshim, two people eating. They don't have Torah, so there really is supposed to be Torah during the times when you eat during the week also. But people mainly by Shabbat do it. So we mentioned once that remember your table is the Mizbeach. You bring the Korban right now. Korban and everything, as you mentioned in the beginning of this shiur, goes by what? It goes by your machshava. It goes by what you're doing. Right? Do you still have that ruach shtut in you when you did the averah that you're telling yourself that what I'm doing is right? Or did I get it out of me? So now that I'm sitting by the Shabbat table, on the day that God went ahead and he said it's a day of rest, right? And what did God rest from? Speech, because God created the world by speech. So God rested on Shabbat from speech. So when I eat by the Shabbat table, I'm bringing Kedusha into my home. Every single food, every bite of meat that you eat, every bite of bread that you eat, every bite of challah that you eat, everything that you eat could be Kedusha. It could be more and more and more Kedusha that you bring into your home. Yet, if you're going to sit there and you're going to talk about everything that happened during the week, and you're going to talk about what the rabbi said wrong in the drasha, what he missed out in the drasha, what he wanted to say or didn't say or should have said, how the chazan, it didn't sound too good, and the music that he did, the song that he did was completely off key. If that's what you talk about, you're taking all that Kedusha and you're throwing it in the garbage. You're throwing it away. That's why they wanted to. They were so careful that they made an entire book because the mirot, everybody's mirot for Shabbat. Except for the big koach and song, but we're not going to deal with that. Yeah? Besides for that, it's to keep you have an entertainment book, to keep you from talking shtuyot, to keep you from talking bad in your home. Because once again, your home is the ikar, is the main place. And that's what this shutdown of everything is showing us. That we have to bring Kedusha into our homes. Right? All the ball games are all done. Yeah, there's no baseball, no basketball, no soccer, no football, no nothing. Right? You don't even have an excuse Sunday night, I can't learn Torah because I got to watch the game. Right? And every other night, the game's always, right? That's all gone. You can't join with the Goyim and all these things anymore. The Goyim don't know what to do with their lives, right? It's for us to learn that what could we do with our lives? And as you mentioned before, the Amud Torah is what keeps the world going. And it's on every single one of us to keep the world going. It's all on us. We're the ones who keep the world going. How? By learning Torah, by this shiur, by Zoom. And so many other shiurim from so many other rabbis that are going on Zoom. You're bringing Kedusha into your home. And that's what's so special when you sit and you learn with your children. Or anybody else you have to learn with, right? You're giving over to them. Right, it's brought down daughters, right? The son is the continuation from the father, right? And the daughter is the continuation from the mother. You're going in and you're teaching them Torah. You're bringing in existence a continuation of Torah in the world. And that's the greatest Kedusha you could bring, which is what it's Abraham. God told Abraham, why are you so dear to me? Because you're teaching Yitzchak to go in my ways. And that is the key to Yahadut, why we exist till this day. The Kedusha of the home and the transfer on to the future generations. May we realize that this that we're doing now is bringing Kedushat to our homes, and since it's bringing Kedushat to our homes, we are going out and we are trying to fulfill what it means to be a Jew. And that is what's going to herald the Geulah. B'mheira b'yameinu amen. This shiur was the Refuah Shalema for Ophir ben Esther. It's also Refuah Shalema for Rabbi Yalev ben Chaya Sarah and all the other Jews that have all different sicknesses, and especially coronavirus and all these other things. Be'ezrat Hashem, hopefully this week, we hope that everybody, this whole Mageifa will go away, and we'll be able to, the shuls will be able to reopen, and we'll be able to see everybody. I miss everybody. I miss the Bet Knesset. I miss everybody. Be'ezrat Hashem, we'll be able to see everybody. Be'ezrat Hashem, this Shabbat, M'hera b'yamenu. Amen.